Yeah, man, I feel you. And look, my thing is, I want to be able to defend police. I really do. Like, I want to be able to sit there and tell some of these fucking dreadlock having retards to back off the police a little bit. It's just very difficult when they can throw hundreds of examples in my face that are blatantly bad. It's like it makes my job as a concerned citizen trying to back up the police department impossible. It makes it more impossible when excuses are made for the bad behavior that takes place. Like, if someone says, well, "What about this cop who I don't know, clubbed a baby in a stroller or whatever?" If I can point to another officer who called that officer out as being a scumbag, I can say, "See, they're not all like that." Instead, you get a lot of excuses. So it's like, what am I to do with it? Because I mean, there's plenty of bullshit accusations thrown at police. I fully get that. I understand it's a hard job, but there's a lot of bad stuff that happens too. I could throw out a whole bunch of examples of my personal experience having very bad encounters with police, but I understand that's kind of pointless, because people are different everywhere you go. Some people are good, some people are bad, some cops are good, some cops are bad. I understand the profession is required. I think, some of the things that needs to change in law enforcement is I do think case law is a problem. I'm sorry, like, the Fourth Amendment, as far as I'm concerned, is non-negotiable, and that makes, for example, DUI checkpoints wildly unconstitutional. And I'm sorry, I don't care how much safer it makes people, it's unconstitutional and it shouldn't be allowed. Period. And I know that, that's not going to change, and it's not going to change largely because people are pathetic and they need to feel safe versus free. I think that police unions need to go away. I think all public sector unions need to go away. Fire, police, government, any companies with huge government contracts, that all those unions need to go away, because that's groups of people who are either signed up to serve the public or people vulturing off the public, in the case of like Raytheon, who are basically unionizing to strong arm more tax dollars out of the public. You're there to serve, right? I mean, that's why you're there. You're not there to strong arm the public. So yeah, case law, unions, and unions. A lot of these police unions, they do the same thing. They defend the indefensible because it's my team versus your team, and I think that's the biggest thing that I recognize from knowing a handful of guys that I grew up with who are cops in Lowell and Chelsea and Revere. It is very much so an inside the castle wall, outside the castle wall mentality. Perfect example. I get pulled over a couple of years back on my Harley, blatantly speeding. I mean, blatantly. I was doing 120 miles an hour, fucking hair on fire, just stomping through the fucking gears, right? I got yoked over, and this cop laced into me, and he was wildly unprofessional. I mean, not that I deserved professional treatment at that point, but I mean, just like a giant man baby come running out of the cruiser, it's ridiculous. I had to stop myself from laughing at the guy. Lowell cop, so if I did laugh at him, he probably would have clubbed me to death and put a gun in my hand. In any case, I name dropped a buddy of mine who's a Lowell cop. And I did it blatantly because I was trying to get out of going to jail or getting a ticket. And it was the funniest thing because he says, "Oh, you know him?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "All right." And he calls him, and it gets me on the phone with him. And he literally tells me, "Well, what did I tell you about riding like that when you're not with me? You can only ride like that when you're with me." No, I'm not going to deny the fact that I cowardly name dropped to get out of paying money to the state. I did. But I also have to kind of let that hang in my mind for a second. You only can break the law like that when you're with me. And that's the mentality, man. And that's the same guy who will tell you I'm part of the biggest gang in the city. And he's right. He's right. I'm not afraid. I mean, look at, I grew up around Hells Angels. I'm not afraid of the Hells Angels. Because I don't fuck with the Hells Angels. I don't deal with them. None of that. I don't have to worry about Hells Angels pulling me over and treating me like shit for doing 10 miles over the speed limit. Now, and there's a massive difference too, right? Between city cops that are unionized and volunteer cops out in the country. There's a big difference there. You get pulled over by a cop in Derry, New Hampshire, and he's going to walk up to you with his jeans on and his cop shirt on and go, "Good afternoon, sir. How are you? Do you know why I pulled you over today?" Literally. I've been pulled over by Derry police, and they're wicked nice. You get pulled over by a Lowell cop, and the guy, I swear to God, I've had him walk up what the fuck is the matter with you, retard? Like, wow. Local hero, my guy. Another time I was working at a bar, bouncing. I worked with an officer, Paul Corcoran. Nice guy, great guy. Old cop, didn't give a shit anymore. Just a nice, laid-back kind of guy. In any case, Paul took the night out. And there was a different young cop there who thought I was a Hell's Angel. A whole different story. In any case, I'm working out back at the door, and I'm collecting bandanas off the goops that come in. No red and blue bandanas allowed. I had bins outside. I had to put them in. And I see a cruiser pull up with 2 police officers. Now, normally, when the police look up and they're staring in the windows of the building, they want to speak to the owner, right? Now it's January. I got a staff shirt on, so trying to be nice. Maybe I'll get the owner for them, kind of thing, because I see them both staring in the building past me. I go, "Good afternoon, sir. Is there anything I can do for you?" And the guy looks at me and goes, "No, is there something I can fucking do for you?" And it's like, all right, I'm good. I get it's a thankless job, and I get you run into scumbags all the time, but that doesn't mean you treat every person like a scumbag, right? When I was home on leave after deployment, when I got pulled over on 113 in Methuen, Mass, I got pulled over by one cop car. He gets me out of the car at gunpoint, has me put my hands behind my head and walk backwards towards him. He then tackles me from the rear, slams me on the hood of the car. A couple more cruisers show up. He takes my wallet out, holds out my military ID in front of my face while my head's on the hood, and goes, "I don't give a fuck if you're in the military." And then he wings it onto the hood. They fucking wrench my arm up behind my back. As he's telling me to stop resisting, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not gonna let you break my arm, bro. I'm not resisting you, but you're wrenching my arm up between my shoulder blades. That fucking hurts, and human nature is I'm going to resist that. Long story short, they thought my rental car was a stolen car because it had out-of-state tags or something to that effect. I didn't even get an apology. They let me go. They left all my shit on the side of the road. Not even a sorry, sir. Nothing. So it's shit like that, dude. The bravado, the attitude, the inside the castle wall, I'm in the club, you're outside of the club attitude, it doesn't win you any friends. It doesn't. And right now, American law enforcement needs friends. And you have people like me who want to be your friend. You know what I'm saying? I want to be a friend to local law enforcement because I understand they're a necessity. But you can't operate like that, just crapping all over people's rights and saying, well, the job's hard. Well, a lot of jobs are hard, man. Trash men have a hard job. That doesn't mean they're allowed to wing trash all over your driveway if you don't put your barrel close enough to the edge of the curb. I'm not saying my job's super hard, but if I don't like your attitude, doesn't mean I can dump your car off sideways on the highway either. I think there's some reflection that needs to be done in local law enforcement. I think you're right that politicians are cutting your knees out from underneath you. But I tell you, there's one video on a good note. There's one video that I watched a couple of years back. It was this cop who had a couple of black kids sitting on a curb, and he was lacing into them about fireworks, and he just had him cuffed and the whole bit. He was being kind of a douche. And the other cop walked up, and dude, I literally got tears in my eyes, like teary-eyed. This other cop walks up, and he basically puts this other cop at the POA, man, just starts lacing into him about their constitutional rights. That there won me so much fucking respect for local law enforcement, for law enforcement in general. That was the be-all, end-all for me, man. That was yes, someone gets it, dude. There's one good cop out there I can point to. I've pointed to him 100,000 times, so it's getting kind of old with the critics of police, but I can't find any more like that. In any case, I gotta get going. I gotta go up to Sunapee. Have a good one, brother.